Hello fellow Immersive Railroaders, my name is Tristan and welcome back to the second episode on how to make your own steam locomotive for the mod. In this episode I'm going to be talking about frames. The way I make frames is pretty interesting, and that this is not how a lot of people make frames, but this is how I teach it myself. And this is how I'm going to teach it to you. So basically, what we're going to do first is, if you can find blueprints of the frame for your locomotive, like these, which I found online, it's gonna be a lot simpler. But if you have like reasonable blueprints like these are actually very good ones, except for the resolution, but you can actually tell the frame on the blueprint. But it's always a nice thing to have blueprints like these. But if you can't find them, that's not really a big issue, since you can work without them. And yeah, we're going to just start by doing that. One thing I like to do is always hide the wheels. But when you have the blueprint scaled to the wheels, like you can just hide the wheels and don't worry about them for a while. So we're going to go into this side view and make a new cube. What I like to do is actually bring the cube up a bit and scale it down to 0.04. Since frames aren't really that big, I mean, they are big, but they're not really thick, to say. So basically, once you've got your blueprints, or still the same blueprint, you go into edit mode and start scaling it to the right size. In my case, I'm just going to quickly do it like this. Seems good. And then on the sides as well. So, but basically, how do you make this weird shape thing? Well, basically what I like to do is actually just extrude them like so. And then extrude again. We get into optimizing later down the line, but this is how you make the basic shape. Just repeat that like a million different times till you have the whole frame covered, like so. Yeah. Basically repeat that till you have like the basic shape of the frame just cut out like this. So I'm just going to do that. Alright, so what we're then going to do is just drag the faces up to the right position. In my case, we're just going to bring these up to this point, like so, without this. Then we're going to do a little bit of this. The frame, as you can see, is actually one of the most time-consuming parts of the whole thing. Basically, since it's one of the most important things that gives the locomotive its shape. If the frame is wrong, you can notice that really notice that in the end, which is something you want to prevent, of course. So you might want to spend some extra time on this, but don't worry about overdoing it. Like so. And then after that, we're just going to move to the background, so I'm going to just speed that up. Alright, there we go. So now that we have the basic like shape of the frame, we can move on into like adding the smaller touches to the frame. So basically one of the things I normally do is make a loop cut to right about here, so that I can make the buffer beam a little bit later down the line relatively easily. So I'm just going to keep it in the middle right now and then move it by itself so it doesn't get that weird positioning like you saw. And then we're just going to make some more loop cuts in like the middle here. And we're just going to move that up just a tiny bit. And we're just going to repeat that multiple times till we're happy with that. And in some cases, if you really want your model to shine a little bit extra, but don't worry about the performance impact, just make some bevels along the lines. But I'm not gonna do that basically for the sake of wanting this to be relatively lower in poly than most of my stuff, since I've been trying to keep my tris low, lower than, like, for example, the BR01s I recently made. Well, recently, that's already been a couple of months ago. But yeah, I'm just going to speed this up real quick. Alright, there we go. So we now have this basic shaped frame. It's not that impressive, it's just a basic shape. But what we're going to do now is grab all of these side cuts, not the top ones or the ones that are like this, just these ones. Just select them all. And what we're then going to do is a pretty simple step, except this one, of course, which we just created, since we need that. And then we're going to dissolve edges. With that, they're gone, and the try count is a lot lower than normal. So, what we're then going to do is unhide the wheels, the drivers, the trailing wheels, front wheels don't really matter. We're going to go into edit mode and drag it to the side. But if you're not really comfortable with how thin it is, you can always just make it a little bit thicker in this step. So I'm just going to move it like 3 extra. I normally take 4 as like a starting point, but yeah, it also looks pretty good, so like so. And then what we're going to do is Shift D to duplicate it and mirror it to the other side. So what we're then going to do is join them again with Control J. And the reason I don't have the screencast keys on is since I actually was kind of struggling with it, since I couldn't tell if I was doing stuff right myself. So that's why it's turned off right now. So yeah, that's how you have like a really basic frame. And then we're just going to go into face select. Select these bridge faces. And then grab a front facing blueprint if you can, or if you know the exact width, go off of that. Since I have a front blueprint saved, I can just grab that front view. It also provides some other views like the cab, which is really handy, and yeah, some other stuff. But I'm just going to scale it up to the right size. So yeah. Alright, so once you've done that, just hide the wheels so they don't interfere with the view. Go into wireframe mode and check for the thing. If it doesn't align correctly, you probably have done something wrong. So a good way to check is to see if the locomotive has the same height as the other blueprint. So let me just hide this one. And then just point your finger at and just draw a line. In my case, it's about right. So I'm just going to extrude these faces a certain amount. That looks a bit too wide, so I thought it would be right, but in my case it's actually a bit wrong, so I'm just going to go off of this now, since I actually noticed it just now, since I'm actually kind of blind at the moment, since I don't know if you can hear it, but I turned sick yesterday, so that's why, also one of the reasons why there isn't any tutorial yesterday, so yeah, that. Other than that, this looks great. Then we're going to go into edge selection, select these edges right here. Like so. And then we're just going to do a simple bevel. But if you get weird stuff like that, it means that, like in the last video, I just noticed that this is the problem. Apply scale, and then Shift N to recalculate the normals. And now it should function like that, since that is a common normal issue, I notice. So it should work now. There we go. Simple as that. Normally you bevel around like so, and like this. In my case, the blueprints don't show it like this, but I'm 100% certain that it is like this, since I've actually have seen this thing in real life, and can assure you it's like this. Though it needs to be a little bit higher, that's correct. I just moved it a little bit too low, so yay. There we go. So, alright. So, there we have a basic frame with the buffer beam, so it's also connected. What we're then going to do is grab our blueprint again, if you have any, otherwise just have a keen eye or a reference. I forgot to mention this. A reference, like a reference picture, is very important to have as well. Reference pictures, so you can take a look at those if you don't have like a frame blueprint or something. So basically what we're going to do is create another cube and then just kind of put them in the right position, like so, like so. Then just scale them up a bit if needed, and then we're just going to move them a little bit around, like so. And then we're going to duplicate these a couple of times, since all the holes are a little bit different. So you need to have like different kinds of bevels and cuts to get the right sizes and right shapes done. Like so. Even these circly things I usually do with a cube, since you can just bevel them. Yeah, and then after that we're just going to reshape them. Alright, so once you've scaled them all correctly, we're just going to bevel these edges each in their own way. But in cases like these, just make a new loop cut and bring it in like so. So it doesn't... So that's so it prevents weirdness, and it works like that. Also try to keep these like around the 1 or 2 mark, so it doesn't look too high poly and it isn't too high poly. Alright, so once we have that, just select everything and scale it way on the y-axis so it clips through the frame. We're going to actually make another cube and make the cut on the frame where the wheels are supposed to be. So just scale it to the right size, in my case 0.5, and then just grab it and make it go down, duplicate it a couple of times so it actually fits in the frame, and and there we go. After we've done that, we scale it on the y-axis as well, and then we're just going to merge these two together in the same way we did earlier. Once we've done that, just select the frame like so, and then we're going to go in here, add the modifier boolean, select these, and it should cut out properly like so. If it doesn't, you have done something weird with your mesh, or something else has happened. But anyway, that's kind of how it works. But yeah, don't apply this yet though. We're going to do that all in the end of the tutorial series when we're going to export it, since now you can still make changes if you don't like it. And yeah, this is basically how you make a frame. Yeah, it's not too hard, it's not too difficult. Basically everyone can do it, and yeah, it gives great results like this. Might not be the lowest try count option out there, but it sure does look nice. So in the next episode, I'm going to show you how to make the basic layout of the locomotive. So that means the boiler, the upper part of the frame, the cab, and all that kind of stuff. So I hope to see you then. Other than that, same as last time. If you have any feedback or anything else you want to share / show me or tell me, just again do it in the Discord, since I'll probably check only the first day that this video comes online. And then I'm probably not going to check the comment section. But yeah, other than that, I hope you have a nice day, and see you guys in the next video.